A secret at the heart of the government of Bangladesh. The Ahmed clan, a crime family at the center of power.
We are not talking about some small-time thief here or a small-time robber here. We're talking about organized crime syndicate.
The clan includes 3 convicted killers, at least one who protected the Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina.
He was personal bodyguard. He had direct contact with Hasina.
Our investigation reveals how the head of the Bangladesh army keeps his fugitive brothers safe and helps them get rich.
This is his brother actually. His elder brother is running the country.
He has the power of Bangladesh army. He has the power of his brothers because they are gangsters. They are mafia.
The army chief helps the Prime Minister pursue absolute power.
Sheikh Hasina has been very, very upfront and transparent about her goal of destroying the opposition.
The Muslim-majority nation secretly buys spyware from Israel, a country it officially doesn't recognize.
I could never say the Bangladesh army is my customer for this. We cannot do that.
It's spyware that can track political enemies.
It is highly intrusive and it is indiscriminate. It can hardly ever be compliant with human rights.
A Dhaka crime family says it has the tools of the state at its disposal. An international conference on disaster management is taking place in Singapore. Among those attending, the head of the Bangladesh military. Aziz Ahmed is a 4-star general. His title, Chief of Army Staff.
I always look at General Aziz and I see one of the most ambitious military officers I have ever seen in Bangladesh.
Al Jazeera's I-Unit tracks the general's movements. When his official duties are over, he flies to Kuala Lumpur, the Malaysian capital. On the plane, he sends a text message to a contact called Hassan, Hungary. Waiting at the airport are 2 men, identified from police files. They are Aziz's brothers. One is the man Aziz referred to in his text, Hassan, Hungary. His real name, Haris Ahmed. He fled a murder conviction and now lives under a false identity. He calls himself Mohammed Hassan. Also waiting is the youngest of the Ahmed clan, Joseph. He served more than 20 years in jail for the same killing. There appears to be a last-minute change of plan. Instead of meeting his brothers in public, the general exits using a diplomatic channel. The brothers leave the airport in separate cars. They regroup at a gated house in downtown Kuala Lumpur. Diplomatic cars from the Bangladesh High Commission are parked outside. Our surveillance team watches the property. The following day, the general returns with his younger brother, Joseph. Then another man emerges from behind the gates. General Aziz has led us to the oldest of the Ahmed clan, Anis. Anis Ahmed has been on the run since his conviction for the same murder as his brothers. He's built a prosperous life in his new homeland. Property records identify two owners of the house where the clan is staying, Anis Ahmed and Mohammed Hassan.
That's Haris, the brother of Aziz. And this man is Anis Ahmed, the other brother. He's also absconding. Interestingly, he hasn't changed his name.
The Ahmed clan sets off escorted by diplomatic cars. They head to the Bangladesh High Commission for the evening. At one time, they were a backstreet gang. Now, they are expanding their power in Bangladesh and increasing their wealth abroad. Aziz, the general. Anis, the fugitive we found in Malaysia. Joseph, jailed for 2 decades. And Haris, a killer on the run. The investigation moves to Hungary. For the past 5 years, Haris Ahmed has lived a double life in the Hungarian capital.
Haris is a very cold-blooded criminal. He is someone who would harm you if he doesn't like you. I got to understand that this person is not a very normal person. He is kind of a psychopath.
A former business associate speaks to us.
So it all started back in 2014, December. I received a phone call from an acquaintance of mine that General Aziz Ahmed is visiting Hungary. He requested me if I can accompany him during his visit because there is no Bangladesh embassy here in Hungary.
Sami took him sightseeing. The general had a proposal.
He asked me that if I can assist him to set up a business for his brother who is living in India at that moment. I said, sure, if he wants to establish his business, I can assist him. After leaving from Budapest, I received a mail from General Aziz where he asked what are the things involved to establish the business. I replied him what are with the detailed requirements of paperwork. Nothing of it raised any alarm to me. I have seen on all documents that his name is Mohammed Hassan. And I was not that curious to check or go through his documents. And as it comes from someone like General Aziz, there is no point that I would doubt any authenticity of his documents.
We've obtained the fake documents used to build up Haris Ahmed's new identity. It includes a passport. It's signed by Kulsum, an official from the Department of Immigration and Passports. She was later charged as part of a criminal network involved in passport fraud.
In order to get a fake passport, you need to get a fake national identity card. And in order to get a fake national identity card, you need to falsify a number of different documents, which could include a fake birth certificate, an education certificate, a marriage certificate. And in getting all of these documents, within Bangladesh, he's committing a host of different criminal offenses within the country. And then, of course, he then used that to get a passport, and that passport is a fake passport under a false name. And in flying under that passport, he would have committed offenses in all of the countries that he traveled to.
The documents were sent from General Aziz's office. At the time, Aziz was head of the Border Guards Bangladesh, or BGB.
Oh, this is really interesting. The witnesses on this document are Major Sujaul Haq and Brigadier General Abul Hasnat. They're both in BGB, and they were both in BGB at the time when General Aziz was the head of BGB. So presumably, Aziz has managed to get these men to sign a document which is a forgery.
Another BGB officer, Major Sami Rashid, sent this email with Aziz copied. It certifies a bank account held in Bangladesh by a Mohammed Hassan. A delivery note shows Major Rashid's role in shipping the fake documents.
So in order to commit this fraud, to make it work, to get the signatures, to send it to Hungary, General Aziz has managed to make a variety of different senior military officers as accomplices.
Haris Ahmed arrives in Budapest in early summer 2015. Documents obtained by the I unit chart his efforts to build a new life under the direction of his brother, General Aziz. He sets up the Bay of Bengal company. His wife, daughter and son-in-law are co-owners. The Bay of Bengal is an umbrella company covering a number of businesses. There is a clothes shop called Niveau Fashion. General Aziz inspects the family investment. But the shop closes after 6 months. Bay of Bengal purchases another company, Taylorville. Next, it opens a restaurant in the heart of the city. It shuts down after 5 months. There is a hostel business providing cheap accommodation. It's called Bengal Hostel and closes within a year. Graham Barrow advises banks on how to prevent money laundering.
This is highly indicative of structures put together for criminal intent. You're looking for any business that generates large amounts of cash. It's like restaurants, hotels still do a lot of cash businesses, or hostels. Technically it's called commingling, which is like mingling dirty money with clean money so that you can't tell which is which.
Haris doesn't seem to care about his businesses. The Bay of Bengal reports a string of losses, losing thousands of dollars in various failed ventures.
He would go out, drink at bars. If he would meet some woman, he would bring them to the hostel and they would party. He really doesn't match a businessman's profile to me.
Sami discovers that Haris's financial interests lie elsewhere. Haris acts as a middleman who uses his connections to secure deals, especially official Bangladesh government contracts. Haris wants Sami to help with a contract to supply Hungarian-made bullets to the Bangladesh army.
কিন্তু আমি তো প্রপার হয়ে যেতে পারি না, আমি তো ভাই বুলেট হলে 1 নম্বর পৃথিবীর সেরা বুলেট, আর আর্মি এটা বাংলাদেশে একমাত্র নাই।
Haris wants to use Sami as a frontman.
আমি যেহেতু ওনার ভাই, এই হিসাবে আমি আর্মিতে কোনো জায়গায় আমি শোবো না, আপনি শোইবেন। কাজের অগত কাজের দরকার, আমাকে পয়সার দরকার, আমার শো দরকার কি আমি ওইখানে আপনার লগে যে বইয়া থাকবো, আমি কে পরিচয় দিবেন না। আমি পয়সা দিই আপনারা, আমরা খাইবেন আমি কেমন, এটা তো আর অটোমেটিক, এখানে তো আর অন্য কিছু না, এখানে ডাইরেক্ট চলে যাবো পয়সা।
Haris finds out that a deal for military supplies to Bangladesh is taking place without his knowledge. He plans to stop it.
যে এরকম আমি যদি আটকায় না দিতে পারছি, আটকায় আপনার কাছে যদি না এসে দৌড়ে
ওকে,
তাহলে আমার নাম হারিস না। ওকে, আর্মিতে কথা বলতে চাই না। কটা বাজে বাংলাদেশে?
বাংলাদেশে এখন বাজে 7টা-8টা মতো বাজে। He would start making phone calls to Bangladesh, to different individuals. He will bully them in very nasty way. He will abuse those people whom he is calling.
Haris is calling a senior officer in the DGFI, Bangladesh's military intelligence.
ভাই আসসালামু আলাইকুম। ওই যে আপনারা বলছিলাম না যে ইউরোপের কিছু হইলে তারপরে হাঙ্গেরির আর একটু ভিড়ে দেন নাম দেখালি, বাকিটা আমি দেখি, একটু দেখেন। ঠিক আছে ভাই, আমি একটা রেফারেন্স পাঠাইতেছি, আমি একটা কাগজ পাঠাইতেছি যেটা হাঙ্গেরির দিকে চেষ্টা করতেছে, এটা একটু দেখেন। ঠিক আছে ভাই? ওকে ভাই।
Haris tells Sami more about his business operation.
তারপর আমি তো জানি হাঙ্গেরি কিছু হইলে যদি আমার কাছে না আসে ওই বেটা কোনো কিছু নিতে পারবো না, এই পর্যন্ত নেই দেখবেটা নিয়ে থাকে, আমার একটা প্রমাণ দেয় তারা কানটা কাইটা কুত্তার গলায় তুমি একেবারে এখানে কুত্তা আছে না, দরকার পয়সাটা কিনেই না কুত্তার গলায় দিয়ে দেবো।
Haris says his role as a middleman is sanctioned by the Prime Minister, Sheikh Hasina.
প্রধানমন্ত্রী শুদ্ধ হানি কইছে যে আরি ওখানে যদি কিছু করতে চাও করুক, আমরা হেল্প করবো, আর কি চাই।
The destiny of the Ahmed clan has long been entwined with the story of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She is the eldest daughter of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, who founded Bangladesh as an independent nation in 1971. The country faces the aftermath of war. There is poverty and starvation. Law and order break down. As the crisis escalates, Sheikh Mujib abolishes opposition parties. The army stages a coup. Hasina and her sister are in Europe.
The ambassador from Germany, he called. So he told me that there was a coup in Bangladesh. The moment I heard it, my feeling was that then nobody is there. Perhaps we lost everybody. But still, we didn't know what really happened.
Army officers enter Sheikh Mujib's home. He is murdered along with 13 family members, including his 10-year-old son.
The murder of Sheikh Mujib and his family was one of the most brutal episodes in the history of Bangladesh. The murderers even did not spare his little son. A large part of Sheikh Hasina's politics is shaped by her quest for justice, by her mission to avenge the killings.
Less than 2 kilometers from where Sheikh Mujib is murdered, the Ahmed family lives in a sprawling district called Mohammadpur. Aziz is the second of 5 boys and a young teenager at the time.
They would grown up in a very poor condition.
Iqbal knew the family. He asked us to conceal his identity.
His father had a low-level job, and whatever he earned, they couldn't run their family.
Growing up amongst poverty and political strife, the 5 young Ahmed brothers form a close-knit bond. But Aziz stands out. In 1981, he joins the Bangladesh army. The other 4, Anis, Haris, Joseph, and another brother, Tipu, they turn to crime.
They were extorting money. They were doing kidnapping. They became a gang. It started from very small. Then they started killing people.
They had a specific area in Dhaka around Mohammadpur which they controlled, which they sort of divided amongst themselves with other crime bosses of Dhaka city. and they would go and extort businesses, and they ruled over that area as if it was their personal fiefdoms.
These are criminals that we're talking about. They are killers who have caused significant amount of damage to human life.
While living in exile in India, Sheikh Hasina becomes leader of the Awami League, the party her father had led. In 1981, she returns to Bangladesh.
I started to mobilize people. The then government tried to prevent me so that I shouldn't come back. But I decided to accept it and come back to work for democracy.
The military is now running the country, and several times Hasina is placed under house arrest. There are attacks on her life. The I unit has obtained covertly recorded phone calls of General Aziz speaking to a colleague. The conversations took place in 2020. Aziz describes how his brothers protected the leaders of Sheikh Hasina's party, the Awami League.
যখন হলো আওয়ামী লীগ ওই জাতীয় পার্টির সময় যখন হলো সবচেয়ে খারাপ সময় যাচ্ছিল, যখন তারা তাদের কেন্দ্রীয় অফিসে বসতে পারতো না, তখন কিন্তু মাই ব্রাদার্স দে ওয়ার দ্য মেইন স্ট্রেংথ অফ দিস পার্টি। কেন্দ্রীয় নেতারা এসে আমার ছোট ভাইয়ের অফিসে বসে তারা হলো পার্টির হলো প্রোগ্রাম এখান থেকে অ্যানাউন্স করতো তারা, কারণ অন্য জায়গায় তারা নিরাপদ মনে করতো না, তো তারা ছিল ইয়াতে।
The clan is feared, but also faces vengeance. One brother, Tipu, is murdered.
Tipu, he was a very renowned gangster, very sharpshooter, very intelligent. Among the brothers, he was the most intelligent person.
It was a time when politicians and the street gangs needed each other.
These kinds of gangs, they were involved in extortion, petty street crimes, extracting money from businessmen. But they also acted as muscle for politicians when required. They tended to link up with certain politicians, and they were used by politicians at particular moments when it served their interests.
In the mid-1990s, Haris Ahmed joins Hasina's personal protection team.
This is Haris, Sheikh Hasina.
Iqbal remembers Haris from that period.
He is around Hasina's security, personal security. And that meeting was in Muhammadpur. That is Haris's area. He organized all the meetings. He was personal bodyguard.
General Aziz recalls a recent statement by Sheikh Hasina to party leaders.
Honorable said যে দেখো ওর ভাইরা কে আমার থেকে বেশি তোমরা জানো না।
The Prime Minister compares the loyalty of the Ahmed clan, who protected her when she was attacked, to the inaction of the senior politicians surrounding her now.
কোথায় ছিল যখন হলো নাই যে যখন আমার বাড়িতে গ্রেনেড হামলা করে, আমার বাড়িতে এরকম করে, আমি কোথায় ছিল তোমরা? এই চিফের ভাইরা আমার আশেপাশে ছিল, তারা ছিল তখন আমার মেইন চালিকা শক্তি। তোমরা কোথায় ছিল তখন?
A murder on a busy street in Mohammedpur will define the Ahmed clan's future. Mustafa Rahman is said to be from a rival political party, one linked to the killing of Sheikh Hasina's family. Mustafa and two colleagues are surrounded. Mustafa is rushed to hospital. He gives a witness statement to a magistrate.
Joseph, Haris, and Anis have shot me. Haris shot me with a licensed gun. Joseph took the pistol from my waist and shot me in the stomach with it. The others also had pistols in their hands, and they shot at random. I was shot 9 times.
5 days later, he dies. With his testimony, he becomes the key witness at his own murder trial. One month after Mustafa Rahman's murder, Sheikh Hasina becomes Bangladesh's new prime minister. The 3 Ahmed brothers are charged with murder. 8 years later, when Hasina is no longer in power, they're convicted. Joseph is sentenced to death. Anis and Haris are sentenced to life imprisonment. But they're already on the run. For 15 years, they're not found, until the I unit tracks them down.
Haris Ahmed was one of the top gangsters of the country who was being hunted by the police. Anis Ahmed, he was accused for a very brutal murder. I don't think that they could have fled the country without some sort of help from some powerful people.
The sequence of events is quite interesting. Around 1994-95, Haris, he acted as her bodyguard. Then, a year later, 1996, a murder of somebody who is said to be a political rival to Sheikh Hasina took place, in which the 3 brothers, including Haris, were subsequently convicted. But maybe she feels the less she knows about all of that, the better.
Sami discovers that his business partner, Haris Ahmed, is a wanted murderer on an Interpol Red Notice list.
I felt that I have been used as a tool to provide a passage to a safe country for this man who established business with my assistance. And I felt that Mr. Haris and General Aziz have used me. I thought of reporting him to the police, but again, I was fearful of my life.
Sami tries to cut ties with the Ahmed clan. But when he does, the general sends him threatening emails.
General Aziz became very violent with his words. He became very furious. He sent me emails where he directly threatened me. And he said that if his brother has to return to Bangladesh, then people responsible will regret their life.
General Aziz keeps trying to draw Sami into his web. He's moving his money out of Bangladesh for life after the military. He wants to find businesses to invest his money in. By 2019, Sami's had enough, but he goes along with their schemes. Except now, he's working with the I unit. Haris is flying in from a business trip.
Assalamu alaikum. কেমন আছেন? হ্যাঁ ভালো আছেন? এই যে মিস্টার রহমান, আমি কানাডার রহমান from Canada.
Haris arrives with Mohammed Rahman, a financial advisor from Canada. Rahman runs an immigration service that helps wealthy Bangladeshis acquire residency abroad. Haris's assistant is with the team. Yusuf Ali handles Haris's bookkeeping.
কোথায় গেলেন?
ফ্রান্স থেকে গেলাম মরক্কো থেকে টার্কি থেকে নাইলাম।
ঘুরতে গেছিলেন? আচ্ছা।
The discussion turns to Haris's political influence in Bangladesh. His associates know Haris has connections to the Prime Minister.
আপনি মন্ত্রী হবেন কবে? আপনি মন্ত্রী হবেন কবে?
মন্ত্রীকে কি করবো? মন্ত্রীকে তো না চাই আপনি।
Despite his apparent lack of business success, Haris has significant sums of money to invest. Haris and Rahman want to buy a hotel. Sami is showing them around.
How many rooms do you have?
66
rooms.
এটা কত টাকা চাই?
এটা 7.2 million euro.
7.2 billion বাংলা কত টাকা? ওই হোটেলটা is more viable than this one.
The Bay of Bengal, the umbrella company for Haris's investments, has an office in this building. It's above a goulash restaurant, owned by Haris. Next door is an unlicensed foreign exchange bureau. That too belongs to Haris. It's manned by his assistant, Yusuf Ali. Yusuf confirms to Sami that Haris's main source of funds is government contracts from Bangladesh.
কোন ধরনের ব্যবসা উনি ইনভলভ? কোন ধরনের কাজ উনি
এটা আসলে ওই যে মিনিস্ট্রি বা এই সমস্ত বা আরো সরকারি লেভেলের কোন দান্দা করছে এগুলো আমার ধারণা।
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা।
হয়তো মামু লাগবে, না হয় মামুর জোর লাগবে।
A letter from the Bay of Bengal company contains a proposal for a consignment of military bunk beds. It's addressed to the Director General of Border Guards Bangladesh, the BGB. It's dated November 2015. The Director General of the BGB is Haris's brother, Aziz. Patronage appears to provide Haris with ample earning opportunities.
পরের গত ইলেকশনে তো আমার সামনে দেখছি কতজনে দান্দা ওনারে যে বলছে ভাই আমার একটা নমিনেশন দিয়ে দেন, আমি 5 কোটি টাকা দেবো।
Seriously?
Yusuf says that Haris acts as a middleman and fixes army contracts for the right price.
তো হাসান মিয়া এগুলো ইচ্ছা করলে ব্যক্তিগতভাবে কিছুটা আমি ক্লিয়ারলি বলতে পারবো না কি, তবে 2-4 কোটি টাকা, এই 2-4 কোটি না, 30-40 কোটি টাকা মিনিমাম কামাই নিছে কয়েকদিনে।
30-40 কোটি টাকা?
The I unit obtains evidence that Haris Ahmed is establishing an investment portfolio outside of Hungary. Using the same false identity, he builds a French business empire. In 2018, he buys a stake in a company which deals in computers and IT. The company has 2 registered offices. One on the outskirts of Paris sells mobile phones and offers international money transfer services. The pace picks up in 2019. In the space of just 7 months, Haris buys stakes in 4 more companies. In April, he found Snigdha, which owns a fast food outlet. Then in May, he buys a stake in a retail company called TPTY. He sells it shortly after. This pattern and style of doing business is not inconsistent with money laundering.
The construction of companies, company types, jurisdictions, bank accounts, the whole range of activities that he has been involved in are entirely consistent with schemes put together to funnel criminal funds through the system in order to make them look legitimate. There is absolutely the ability to hide in plain sight, so the busier the financial centre, the easier it is to lose a bit of dirty money in it.
In June 2019, he registers the Bay of Bengal in France, which owns an Indian restaurant. And in November, another new company called Info Bay of Bengal. This store is at the company's registered address. He's connected to 3 properties in the Paris suburbs, including one with an estimated value of nearly $500,000. Corporate filings reveal a buying spree by Haris, who's moving money into France under his fake European Union residency.
It's introducing the money into the system, layering, moving that money between lots of different companies and countries, and then integration, putting it back into the real economy. Well, what better place to put it back into than property? It is the traditional home of dirty money.
Haris's role as a middleman includes working with private companies in Europe that wish to invest in Bangladesh. Mohammed Rahman, the Canadian businessman, comes to help Haris negotiate a potential deal worth a fortune. Haris and Rahman are told that British financiers are looking to invest millions of dollars in the hotel trade in Bangladesh. Sami organises a video conference with a British investment firm. Haris uses his assumed name.
Hello. Hi, good morning. Hello.
Hey, gentlemen.
I'm
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Mom Hassan. Mohammed, pleased to meet you.
So my name is Mr. Rahman from Canada, Vancouver.
Pleased to meet you too.
But this is not what it seems. The representative of the investment firm is working for the I Unit.
To do something in Bangladesh is really great idea, but there's some problems because of still there's political issues and a little bit corruptions. Of course, although the country is coming up has such a problem. But good things for Mr. Hassan because he is very well connected with the high officials, very connected with the government, especially the Prime Minister herself.
In return for his high-level contacts, Haris demands a commission of 20%.
Just 1 second, please.
He breaks down the fake investment proposal.
100,000 euro, dollar or euro, or 100 billion. এটা ইনভেস্ট করতে হবে যদি 5 স্টার বা এনি বিজনেস ঢাকা করতে চায় ফর ল্যান্ড বাই পারচেজ এত মিলিয়নের নিচে কোনো সুইটেবল ওই ধরনের ব্যবসা হবে না আমাদের যেটা উই টেক 20% ফর all liquidation.
Then Rahman spells out how they work.
Then he will send this letter to his elder brother and will officially visit your place to talk a little bit more. If needed, we'll call our High Commission in London. So High Commission people also will be in the meeting to make it real official something. Then he can take this proposal to our Prime Minister and the army chiefs, which looks better and solid and concrete. So his company will be your consultant for Bangladesh. Basically, at this moment, his elder brother is running the country, in fact, because our Prime Minister leave everything to army chief to run the country for the big developments. This is his brother, actually.
Sheikh Hasina must call an election. A year earlier, she'd appointed Aziz head of Border Guards Bangladesh. As her Awami League government faces election defeat, the BGB becomes involved in overseeing the vote.
Aziz was head of the BGB. His role was to quieten the opposition, prevent them taking control of the streets, preventing them being a political force which the government couldn't deal with. He was very proud of that, and he said that he was the one who handed those elections to Sheikh Hasina. And it was a very crucial moment. It was very possible at that time that the Awami League government could have fallen.
A few years later, Sheikh Hasina visits Aziz to discuss his future. The general believes his loyalty is about to be rewarded.
আমাকে মহামান্য বলেছে, মহামান্য নিজে বলেছে আমাকে, বলে যে আলী সাহেব আপনারটা কি মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী এসে আমার সাথে তখন যখন কথা বলছে বলে যে না আমি চিন্তা করছি there is no other alternative but ইয়াতে এটা.
For the general's career to advance, his brother's murder convictions would need to be dealt with.
এবং এই যে আপনার ভাইদের অন্যান্যদেরকে জিনিস করছে এটা কিন্তু ওনার পরিকল্পনা অনুযায়ী এই ধরনের যে তার এটা হওয়ার আগে তাদের এগুলো সব ক্লিয়ার করতে হবে আমাকে নিজে হলো উনি আমার সাথে আলোচনা করে গেছেন.
The plan includes getting Aziz's youngest brother out of jail. Joseph had already had his death sentence commuted to life in prison. For 11 years, he'd been on death row.
আর ভাইরে কিন্তু চলে যেতে পারতো না, এমন না যে অন্য পার্টি থেকে হলো তাদেরকে তখন বলে নাই এই চলে আসো, কিন্তু ওরা তো বেইমানি করে নাই, ওরা তো রাজি হয় নাই কখনো, ওই রক্ত নাই গুলো বেইমানি করার.
In 2018, on the advice of the Prime Minister, Joseph is granted a presidential pardon. Tasneem Khalil is told about the pardon by a source in the military.
I was a bit surprised that why this army person is talking to me about a top criminal getting a pardon, because I did not make that connection instantly. And then he started laughing, and then he said, you realize one cannot become the chief of the army when his brother is in prison on murder charges.
A month later, General Aziz Ahmed becomes army chief.
I mean, that's when I realized, okay, he's talking about General Aziz, and this is not really about Joseph, the criminal, but it is about Aziz, the general.
It's pretty extraordinary. Sheikh Hasina thought that General Aziz was an appropriate person to appoint as Chief of Army Staff. So you have to ask, why was she so willing to take that risk?
In December, Sheikh Hasina holds another election. General Aziz helps her consolidate power.
In 2018, Army played a very active role and assisted the massive rigging that went on in nearly every voting center in Bangladesh.
The leader of the opposition and Hasina's longtime rival, Khalida Zia, is in jail. Others detained and never seen again.
Sheikh Hasina has been very, very upfront and transparent about her goal of destroying the opposition. She's basically trying to brand herself and her family as being synonymous with the state.
The opposition has been significantly repressed. They can barely function as an opposition. The law enforcement authorities have been able to act with tremendous impunity in relationship to extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, which have to some extent become systemic now within the whole way in which the country operates.
The I Unit has obtained documents that reveal how Bangladesh's security forces gather information on Sheikh Hasina's opponents. The files include a contract to purchase spyware dated June the 26th, 2018, the day after General Aziz took control of the army. It is stamped and signed by the Directorate General Defence Purchase, the body charged with buying Bangladesh's military supplies.
In February 2019, I was contacted by a friend of mine who was serving with the DGFI. A group of 4 Bangladeshi officers are visiting Budapest for some official reason.
The officers are from Bangladesh's military intelligence service.
I invited them for dinner. They said they will have 3 more guests with them.
The 3 additional guests include 2 Israelis and an Irish national. But the 2 Israelis, who are intelligence experts, decide not to attend dinner. Only the Irishman gets out.
The Bangladeshi officers introduced me to the guy, and he introduced himself as a contractor for some surveillance equipment company. I heard them discussing about purchasing this spyware, this device that they can basically conduct surveillance on general people's mobile phone. The contractor said that no way that people in Bangladesh should know that this product comes from Israel. And that is when I decided to turn on my recorder.
My company is based in Singapore, so I am the selling agent.
The middleman for the deal is James Maloney from Sovereign Systems.
So we can supply Wi-Fi interception, as well as cellular, as well as video surveillance.
The documents confirm that Bangladesh is indirectly buying surveillance equipment from a company in Israel. PIC6 was founded by former Israeli intelligence experts. Bangladesh has no diplomatic relations with Israel and cannot legally trade with it. The Bangladesh passport prohibits travel to Israel. Bangladesh has the world's 4th largest Muslim population. It says it won't recognize Israel until there's an independent Palestinian state. The Bangkok-based Maloney acts as the facilitator. But even his company's website includes no reference to PIC6.
It's from Israel, yeah. So we don't advertise that technology. We don't put the cellular interception or Wi-Fi interception on the website. We're very careful about our public profile.
The Israelis train the 4 Bangladesh intelligence officers in a warehouse outside Budapest. We've blurred the images of the Bangladeshi officers. James Maloney is in the middle. We've been unable to identify the 2 Israeli intelligence experts. PIC6 did not respond to our request for comment. The spyware's manual describes the P6 intercept, also called an IMSI catcher or Stingray, as a mobile phone monitoring system.
It behaves like a cell tower, so all of the phones in a certain area are going to connect to it, and it's going to be capable of intercepting communications. Everything you're doing on your phone, text messages, phone call, but also the website you visit, are going to be intercepted. Up to 200 or 300 mobile phones can be connected to it simultaneously. The specific model is also capable of interfering with the communications. So you're going to be able to change the content of a text message. You could be spoofing the identity of someone.
Israeli technology can now be used to monitor and quell further protest.
It is a tool of mass surveillance. The sort of use we've seen is to kind of identify groups of people and to determine the networks that exist. So you know there's one person who's going to be there. You're going to the place, whether it's a protest again or a gathering, and you're looking at everybody who's in the area. And so you can keep investigating and having more people under surveillance at the same time.
The technology is very aggressive and intrusive. You don't want the public to know that you're using that equipment.
The final contract contains the condition that the supplier and the Bangladesh military sign a non-disclosure agreement. It also hides its origin. Instead, it states, made in Hungary.
Knowledge is power. So if you know what people are saying, where they're going to meet up, what they're planning to do, you can know a lot of things. And then you have the power to act.
Haris claims he can use Bangladesh's security services to monitor the phones of rivals. He says a paramilitary unit called the Rapid Action Battalion tracked a phone for him. The head of RAB at the time is Benazir Ahmed, here with Haris's brother Joseph after his release from prison.
এই আমি তো আমার গুন্ডা হইলো র‍্যাব হন আমার তো এমনি গুন্ডা লাগে না তো আমার তো এইডি গুন্ডা কারু ডাইলিও কারো ধরো ফেরো
Haris says he's used RAB to track a phone and make an arrest.
আমার পারার তো ওই শালার প্রতি তো ছিল টাইম ধরেছি ওই প্লেনের টিকা মানে ধরেছি আর আমি ব্যাংককে ফোন করছি আমি ওর নাম্বার দেয় আমি তোরা ভাই মাইরালামু হ্যাঁ কিন্তু তোরা মারবো না কিলিয়া জানো মাইরা লাইলে তো তুই বুঝবি না কষ্টটা
Salim Pradhan was convicted of gambling offences and jailed for 6 months.
ওর একটা গার্লফ্রেন্ড আছে গার্লফ্রেন্ডটা ফিট করছি গার্লফ্রেন্ডের ইনফরমেশন দিছে মোবাইল ট্র্যাকিং করাইছি ওরা
In April 2020, Benazir Ahmed moves from RAB to become the most powerful policeman in Bangladesh.
ওরা কাজ করে আমরা গুন্ডা আছে পুলিশ আছে পুলিশের তো বড় গুন্ডা গুন্ডার লাগে না তো গুন্ডা হন পুলিশ যার পুলিশ লাইন আছে যার প্রশাসন আছে হ্যাঁ হন গুন্ডা
Haris prefers not to attract attention by directly involving his brother.
আমি কি করতে আর খামাচ্ছা খাকি পোশাকের মধ্যে ঢুকে বয়ে থাকবো হিসেবটা বুঝছে সে অমুক আছে তমুক আছে আইজি আছে এবং আমাকে তো দরকার হয় না ওরাও খায় আমিও খাই ডাইরেক্ট কথা আমরা
He says he's involved in a network of corruption, placing policemen in jobs that earn bribes and paying a cut to their superiors.
পুলিশ আঙ্গুল এখানে যে এই ওসিমোসিগুলোর পোস্ট করতে কি কিরকম টাকা করতে তো আপনার
আমি আপনার
এয়ারপোর্ট থানার ওসি
মিনিমাম 10 কোটি টাকা 5 কোটি টাকা অ্যাকচুয়ালি ট্রান্সফারের টাকাটা খায় হোম মিনিস্টার আইজি পুলিশ কমিশনার তিনজন মনে করেন 5 কোটি টাকা কন্ট্রাক্ট করলে হয়তো 3 কোটি টাকা দিয়ে 2 কোটি টাকা আমরা এরই কখন যায় বুঝছে এই হলো কাহিনী
In Mohammadpur, the district where the Ahmed clan grew up, there's further evidence the brothers are using the Rapid Action Battalion to serve their own ends. A local politician, Mizan Rahman, is arrested. Although he's in Sheikh Hasina's party, the Awami League, he's also the brother of Mustafa Rahman, the man murdered by Haris, Joseph, and Anis.
I heard the bullet. It's really very shocking news for us. And I didn't know why.
Mahadi was a boy when his uncle was murdered.
It's a very terrible moment. It's a brutal murder.
He now lives abroad. He says General Aziz is using RAB to punish his family. It was his uncle's testimony that sent Joseph to prison, and Haris and Anis on the run.
Most of the people who is involving in RAB, like Lieutenant Colonel or Colonel, they are really close to General Aziz. If General Aziz said, yeah, okay, do it, so that they can do it, because they had the command of General Aziz.
people in Bangladesh are scared to death of RAB. If RAB is after them, they will run away. And we've seen many cases of human rights activists, women's rights activists, even internal critics inside the Awami League who have fled the country because they heard RAB was going to come knocking at their door.
He has the power of Bangladesh Army. He has the power of his brothers because they are gangsters. They are mafia.
In a nearby ward in Mohammadpur, a young member of the Ahmed clan is running for election. Asif Ahmed is the nephew of General Aziz and son of Anis, who lives in Kuala Lumpur. In January 2020, Asif launches his political career. He wins on an anti-corruption platform.
এবং দুর্নীতিটা আশা করি অনেক কমে আসবে। আমাদের মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রী দুর্নীতির বিরুদ্ধে যেভাবে অভিযান চালাচ্ছে সেটার ভয়ে অনেকে হয়তো ইনশাআল্লাহ সামনে দুর্নীতি করার সাহস রাখবেন না। আমি তাকে অনেক ধন্যবাদ জানাই এরকম শক্ত একটা পদক্ষেপ করার জন্য। নিজের দলের লোকজনকে সে ছাড় দেয়নি এই দুর্নীতির বিরুদ্ধে অভিযান করার জন্য। ধন্যবাদ।
At the grounds of the Army's national headquarters in Dhaka, a high society wedding. The groom, dressed in gold, is General Aziz Ahmed's eldest son.
I didn't expect him to be dancing quite like that. Well, that's Aziz. That is Haris. Haris is absconding for murder, and here he is at a big society wedding with the Chief of Army Staff there.
As well as Haris, Anis is visiting from Malaysia.
This is jaw-dropping stuff. Like, these are gangsters wanted by Bangladesh police officially, and they're attending a wedding and the army chief is right there. They're partying, really.
The country's senior military officers, political elite, and foreign dignitaries are in attendance. And the youngest of the brothers, Joseph, convicted of murder but pardoned, is also here.
Oh, wow, that's Bangladesh's president.
The pardon came from the president, Mohammed Abdul Hamid.
The president of Bangladesh is at a wedding with these two absconding criminals and who should be arrested.
Anis's son is also celebrating. He's the emerging politician campaigning on an anti-corruption ticket.
The next generation is properly in place. If the same regime continues, we can see that the second generation of these people would take place and turn Bangladesh into an absolute mafia state. I feel that I have been relieved of a great responsibility that I had to share the truth, to expose these culprits to the world. And of course, I am fearful. I feel afraid. I am feeling scared that they will come after me.